Thank you so much. Now, I wish I could say that we had the carpets done just for this event, but unfortunately, it was that way before we got here. So, as I said, good evening. My name is Noah Almanza, and I'm the Executive Director for the March of Dimes here in San Antonio. Welcome, and thank you for joining us here this evening. For this National Prematurity Awareness Month, there's going to be lots of activities, and we really want to say thank you for coming to this one, but for any other one that you might be involved in, you or your organization, over the course of this month, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It's such a blessing to know that so many people care and have an interest and passion for helping some of our tiniest Texans, and that is to ensure that babies are born healthy. To give a little background, I guess, for this event and some context, the March of Dimes launched an initiative in 2003 to create awareness of the crisis of prematurity and the impact on families and businesses across the country, and to inform them of the alarming incidence of prematurity, which affects 1 in 8 infants that are born to U.S. families. 1 in 8. For African Americans, that number is even more appalling. And that's because for the African American population, their babies that are born are 1.5 times more likely to be born prematurely than their Caucasian equivalents. Now, for the Hispanic population across the country, this number, this rate of prematurity is relatively in check. Unfortunately, in this city, knowing that we have such a high Hispanic population, that number isn't doing so well. And this is why we are striving to educate the African American community, the Hispanic community, and the community at large about what we can do, what we can each do to help ensure that babies have a healthy start in life. So, in 1938, this organization was founded by a great man with a vision to conquer polio, and we succeeded. This city has its own great man, and a little over a year ago, he convened a kickoff to what is now known as the San Antonio 2020 Plan, or SA 2020. This vision to create a city that is not just the brightest shining star in the state of Texas, but in the country, was put together with business, with healthcare, with education in mind. And it was no surprise to me that prematurity was one of the initiatives that came to form in this plan. So I stand here now with you all, and I say that the March of Dimes and this organization in San Antonio is committed to helping our mayor, Julian Castro, achieve this vision, and certainly all initiatives as they relate to prematurity and to reducing that rate.
Healthy Start operates under the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District, and tonight we are so pleased to be joined by the medical director of Metro Health, Dr. Thomas Slinker. Dr. Slinker, would you please come forward and share with us just how science and volunteers continue to march toward wholeness?
Thank you, Gloria. That's a pretty tough act to follow. I'm Tom Schlenker. I'm the director of your local health department for San Antonio and Bexar County. I'm also a pediatrician, and as a pediatrician have spent a lot of time in newborn intensive care units, which now are in every larger city in the United States, and usually many of them in a city the size of San Antonio. And these newborn intensive care units are filled with tiny little babies, 1 to 2 pounds. They're small enough you can hold them in your hand, born too early, and they have a long, long mountain to climb when they are born that early. They, unlike a healthy full-term baby that's tight and strong, they're kind of floppy, have trouble even lifting their hand or their foot. Internally, all of their organs are underdeveloped. Their stomach and gastrointestinal tract is compromised right from the start. They're unable to suck and swallow. They have to be fed in artificial ways, and even digesting mother's milk or formula can be a challenge, and many times their guts will disintegrate and rupture just under the stress of that. Probably the biggest challenge is the premature lung in a newborn baby, born too early. And so they have to be treated with higher levels of oxygen right from the start. Many years ago when I started, we used too much oxygen and many of those babies were blinded from it. Now we know that that has to be very carefully monitored, so it's monitored constantly 24 hours a day to get the right level, but there's still many pitfalls. In addition to just the oxygen, these premature babies are not able to ventilate their own lungs. They can't breathe for themselves, so they have to be ventilated artificially by pressure, which has many problems associated with it. If it's not precisely calibrated and watched every minute of the day, can blow out the lung. And really it affects every organ in the body, particularly the brain. And these constant pressure changes internally can result in bleeding in the brain. So it's almost like having a stroke, but when you're a newborn baby. So these babies have a very tough time of it. The smaller ones, the ones that weigh about a pound, that are born around 30 weeks or less, 25% of them will die within the first few days. Those that survive, though, often will have lifelong problems from this really difficult ordeal that they have to go through for weeks and weeks in the newborn intensive care unit until they're old enough to go home. And like I said, oftentimes they suffer lifelong problems because of it. Some are really obvious, like cerebral palsy, but others may just come out when they start school and have difficulty learning or behavioral problems. And this is a huge problem, as has been mentioned, especially among African Americans and here locally, Hispanics also. So that's a large proportion of our population, and we're very concerned about that. The solution is not to build more and better newborn intensive care units. Even if we doubled our investment in that, it would have almost no effect on infant survival and reduction of deficits in those that do survive. The solution is to reduce the number of babies born prematurely. This will have a tremendous effect. If we can, if the average age, gestational age, the number of weeks during pregnancy in our newborn intensive care units in San Antonio is 27 weeks. If we can advance that 1 or 2 weeks to 29 weeks, just so the baby stays in the mother's womb 1 or 2 weeks later, that will probably cut our infant mortality rate in half and will have an even bigger effect on improving the life of those that are born. So yes, we would like every baby to get to term, but even if we can make small improvements, 27 to 28 weeks, 28 to 29 weeks, we can have a tremendous effect. This is where we need to concentrate. This is what Metro Health is working on, will be working on in the years ahead. We are so happy to see this kind of support and interest locally. We are so happy that March of Dimes is so active and vigorous here in San Antonio. They're one of our most important partners and take a leadership role, as they should. How we help women to carry their babies to term or closer to term, we still have to discover a lot of that. It's not totally clear. But I believe, and I think a lot of people who have worked in this area believe, that it has to do with the support system that exists or should exist for pregnant women in every community to help them in those difficult months of pregnancy and weeks of pregnancy so that they can go to term or closer to term. I think it's going to take innovation in that area. It's going to take collaboration and partnership. It's just not about seeing your doctor, though that's important. It's about the kind of support you get from your family, from your spouse, community groups, church groups, the public health department. We need to have an environment where pregnant women in San Antonio feel the kind of love and support they need to bring their babies to term. So that's a theme for us in Metro Health, and that's where we're looking to make a contribution in the years to come. And do I need to introduce the next speaker? Do I? No. Gloria's back. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Well, it's been nice talking to you.